What's up, guys? It's Saturday morning. I haven't showered yet, so don't mind the hair. I wanted to update you guys on the Bichir fish. Long story short, years ago I used to own a Bichir fish and I tried to get rid of it and I finally got rid of it to a friend. Anyways, last week he brought it back to my house and was just like, hey man, I'm sick of owning this thing, and the question is, why are people like, is this a cool fish to own? I guess that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video. This Bichir fish is in this 6-foot tank. Some of you guys commented, hey Chris, that's a gravel tank. A Bichir fish shouldn't be in that. I'm completely aware. My buddy Brian just kind of brought it over here out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it. Let's try to get the Bichir fish out of hiding. So to get some video footage of my Bichir today, I'm going to be using a blackworm and earthworm sinking pellet. And the reason I went with a sinking pellet is because they're constantly digging through the substrate looking for their next meal. And let's see if these sinking pellets work. And by the way, if you're looking to get some, I'll throw a link in the description box. It works absolutely amazing with Bichirs. And 5 minutes later, he didn't seem to come out, but now he is out. Alright, so guys, the whole reason I'm doing this video is to kind of talk about the Bichir fish in general and why I didn't really like owning one. And I totally understand that talking about reasons why not to own a fish isn't cool, but I think it's important to talk about just because if you're thinking about maybe getting one of these, you at least know what to expect inside your tank, and I just figured it'd be cool to talk about the reasons why I didn't like owning them. So just know that I do have a passion for these fish, but just my tank setups and scenarios just didn't work out the best. And like for instance, the number one reason I didn't like having a Bichir was I have gravel tanks and it is best for them to be in a sand substrate, just because you can constantly see here he is sifting through the gravel, or it's supposed to be sand. They do a lot better with that, and the reason is because they could accidentally eat a piece of gravel and it completely, you know, a fish this size obviously can't pass a large piece of gravel like what is in this tank. And the second reason I don't like owning a Bichir fish is because they are kind of like spastic and they have a lot of anxiety, and they're constantly like, they're really timid fish and they really like kind of a low light setup. And what happens is maybe another fish will startle them and they'll just explode out of nowhere and completely just tear up your substrate and just throw around everything that was in that substrate. A lot of times I would open the door here in the fish room, or maybe I would open a lid on a tank to feed the fish, or maybe I would move around lightly and they would absolutely go berserk and just kind of blast around in the tank, swim, thrust, and it would completely destroy the water column. And I don't have mechanical filters. I only have sponge filtration, and it completely drives me bonkers. And you know, to just completely stir up your gravel, I mean, it's not a huge deal, but it just bothered me. And thirdly, what got me is these fish are ferocious feeders. They are predators, and they will commonly try to eat fish like they shouldn't try to eat, you know, twice the size of their mouth. So what will happen is they'll chomp down on a fish kind of while it's sleeping, most likely because they're, they feed at night. And what happens is they just kind of chomp down on a fish, and then they do the death twirl, the death spin, and a lot of times it'll kill the fish, but they'll realize, hey, I can't even consume this fish and it's not possible, but it still takes the life of the other fish. God, look at that Jack Dempsey. That is absolutely ridiculous coloration. Shout out to all Jack Dempsey owners. Man, it's real talk on how beautiful Jack Dempseys are. We're kind of stealing the showcase here. I can see this tank is dirty. There's a lot of detritus. That sponge filter is just full of it. But that's another example, guys, right there. God, look at that jaguar cichlid too. He's really dark as a juvenile. But when a tank is kind of dirty like that and a Bichir takes off, that is completely in all the water column, and they're an elongated fish. So when they take off and thrust, it moves a lot of water column. And I don't know, guys, this is just kind of my video on the reasons I don't like the Bichir fish. I know there's a lot of fanboys out there If you're thinking about getting one, I would do a species-specific tank maybe, sand substrate, and just have multiple Bichers and kind of showcase the species. All right, guys, let me know what you think of the Bichir fish and your experience keeping them. Whoop, whoop.